If your Henry has stopped working, we're gonna find out what the problem is with him today. Don't throw him in the bin, just watch this video, ask me any questions below, and we're gonna get him back to life. During this video, I'm gonna be using a multimeter to find out where the power is broken, if you like. If you don't have one of these, you can get one for around £10–15, but I will be going through symptoms as well. So if you haven't got one and it's your vacuum cleaner, we might be able to still resolve your problem. You're going to start by lifting off Henry's hat, and we're going to undo the 4 outer screws underneath. New models will have a T15 Torx screw on them, and the older models will have just a normal cross-headed screw on them. If you undo these and then lift off his casing, and that's where you'll find the cable rewind. If you lift out the rewind, and now we're going to check out the cable. For a quick test with the multimeter, we're just putting it on the beep function, and then we're just putting the probes on each pin on the plug and then to the corresponding part underneath the cable rewind. And you're listening out for the beep. The beep means that you've got continuity and that the cables are not the issue. If you've not got a multimeter, we're just going to have to give this a visual check. Obviously, if the break's on the inside of the wire, you're not going to see it. But it might have been going intermittent near the plug end, or sometimes where the rewind is or something. It might be that you've lost power when you pulled the Hoover across the room. So yeah, we're guessing a little bit without a multimeter on the cable. Final thing with the cable, if you've not got a multimeter and you have one of these newer models with the LED, and the LED is on when you plug it into the mains, your cable's not going to be the issue. If you find that the cable's the issue, just go on my channel and there's a dedicated video for changing the power cable on there. While you've got the cable rewind out, if you just check underneath, there's 2 contacts that we saw earlier. If you just make sure that they're not broken or damaged, they're different on the older models to the newer models, but principle is the same. If they're broken, that's where your power loss issue has come from. Next up, we're going to check the switch. Again, switches might be different on different models, but the principle is the same. On this one, you just pull the cover from over the switch, and then we're going to use the multimeter to check between the blue and white wires and then the brown and white wires on this particular model. Again, different setup on different models, but the principle is the same. You've got a live going in that goes to a wire, and you've got a neutral going in that goes to another wire. If you're measuring across those, then you're listening out for the beep again with your multimeter, which means the switch is okay. If you don't get a beep on either, just make sure that your switch is actually on and try again. You might find that like one side doesn't beep, which means the switch is the problem. Again, without a multimeter, symptoms would be if it stopped working more or less overnight, like it was fine yesterday but not today. There's been no funny smells or burning or funny noises. Your switch is likely to be the problem. There is a video again on my channel which shows you how to clean the contacts on the switch, so you might not even need to buy a switch. This might be a free repair. So just go on there and look for the free switch repair video and follow that if you feel that the switch is the problem. So your cable's okay, your contacts are okay, your switch is okay. Next up, we're going to skip right to the motor. So we're going to undo the 3 inner screws underneath the head. On very, very old models, the 3 inner screws are actually on the inside, on the other side of the head. But you'll see that anyway, it's common sense. We're undoing those, and this will allow access to the motor. Once inside, the main culprit of power loss is the carbon brushes. And now these make contact with the motor, send electricity through it, and these can wear down over time. So when this happens, you get like burning smells normally, your motor will be like farting and stuff. You might even get a little bit of smoke out the back if you're lucky. So that's an indication that the carbon brushes have worn. We can test these with the multimeter, but not really mega important. Visually, you can just take the carbon brushes off and just make sure there's like plenty of meat left on them. If they're worn down to nothing, or there's loads of black stuff everywhere, then it's going to be carbon brushes that's caused this. Doesn't normally stop working overnight. You'd normally know that there's something wrong with your motor if these are wearing out. Again, these differ on different models, so if yours looks different to the one in the video, don't panic. Like this one is off an older model. So yeah, the principle is the same. We're just testing the metal contacts to make sure there's power going through. If you are changing the carbon brushes, I would also advise just cleaning up the contacts on the motor itself. These should be like a bright copper colour. You'll find that yours are probably black. Just get some really fine, is that enough reallys? Yeah, really fine wet and dry sandpaper. Don't wet it, just use it dry, and you can clean it up with that. Again, I'm going to do another video on my channel to show you how to change carbon brushes and do the best job. You might be wondering at this point, do I need a new motor? You would only replace the motor if you went in and it was like seized up, if it was rusty, or if it like sounded like a drill when you turn it on. That's when you would replace the actual full motor. You don't normally need to replace it if it's just a power loss. Try all these things first. Okay, so some have got a high and low switch. The older, really old ones haven't, and the really new ones, like this one, haven't. Okay, if you have a high-low switch and you still haven't found the problem following these steps, it is likely to be the circuit board inside that has failed. This is known as a PCB, which is printed circuit board, and it controls the high-low really, but if a component fails on it, you lose power. It's really quite common. Now, a couple of years ago, you would just replace the circuit board. However, at this current time, when I'm making this video, circuit boards are a nightmare to get hold of. If you can find someone with one in stock, they're normally an absolute fortune. So, a way to test this, and this is only if you have a high and low switch, is if you just take all the wires out of the Henry, okay, so off the circuit board and off the high-low switch, and then what we're going to do, the blue and the brown wire that come from the rewind underneath, we're going to put that on one end of the switch, and the white wires that come from the motor, we're going to just put them on the other two pins on the switch, so it looks like this, yeah? If you now carefully put it back together so you're safe, plug it in and try it, you might find that it springs into life. Now this means that you've lost the high-low feature, but your vacuum cleaner's working again. If you want to go one step further, if you look on my other videos on my channel, there's a video showing you how to put one of these little LED lights in, so you can, it kind of looks neater, you get rid of the high-low switch that doesn't work, and it just looks like a newer one really. And I think that's more or less everything. If you haven't found the problem when you're looking at your model, or you're just mega confused or what have you, just drop a comment below and I'll try and reply as soon as I can. If you just let me know like what model you've got, like what kind of switch it's got, what the symptoms are, stuff like that, and I'll try and help you. Finally, quick promo. If you need any of the parts, go to henrybags.co.uk. Again, if you need any help, ask me. You can email me on the website as well. And finally, I'd just like to thank Paul, who is one of my customers. Now, I started repairing in 2010, so I kind of just get on with it and do it and don't really realise what people struggle with. So Paul's been repairing for, I don't know, about a year or something, and I asked him, what videos did you want to see when you started? What were you struggling with? And Paul gave me the idea for doing this video. So I'd just like to thank you, Paul, and hope I've done you proud.